Manifesting a specific person is regarded as one of the hardest things to manifest. Now, of course, this absolutely isn't the case because to the subconscious mind, your creative power, manifesting one thing is as easy as manifesting another. Manifesting a penny on the floor is as easy as manifesting a full-blown relationship with someone that said that they don't want you anymore, or maybe even someone that doesn't know you at all. The only reason that it's regarded as hard is because of the logical limitations that we ourselves put on the journey. It has to come through this method, or they said that they don't want me because of this thing, or I'm just not good enough to have them in this instance. These kinds of thoughts, these kinds of limitations are put in place by us, which is what makes the journey hard. If we can resolve those things, remove those limitations, your subconscious mind is going to bring that relationship with absolute ease, faster than you could even have imagined. So today, I want to go over a few mistakes that we make when manifesting a specific person that not only make it hard, but potentially delay the process. So, by extension, if you resolve these mistakes, that will bring them quicker and it will make the journey better. So let's get into it. The first mistake, and probably the biggest, so I'm starting off strong here, is allowing them the power to do what you don't want them to do. I made a video last week where I essentially said that your person is hanging on your every word because you are like the scriptwriter, your subconscious mind is the producer, and the specific person is the actor. Based on the script that you're providing them, they have to play that character. If you want more on that analogy, I'd recommend going and watching that video. But essentially, what people are doing when they make this mistake is they are giving the other individual the power to do what they don't want them to do. When you say things like, he's a player, or when you say things like, she's only after guys with this kind of physique, or when you say things like, if I don't have the right finances, then they're not going to be interested in me, or they're stubborn, so they won't come back to me, or they've said once they broke up with someone, that's it. Variations of those different kinds of things. You are giving them the power to say no to you. If your intention is to be in this relationship with this person, whether new or an ex, and you're saying that they're too stubborn to get back with you, or they're too stubborn to open up to you, or something like that, how could you ever expect them to come back in an easy manner? How could you ever expect them to come back in a open, fluent motion? They're not going to, because they are abiding by your assumption of them that they are stubborn. Now, when I explain it, it probably seems so simple, but yet it's something that 90% of people manifesting a specific person seem to do. He keeps showing up for me in this way. She's just not messaging me enough. She's just not doing this. He's just not doing that. And I've obviously given a few examples, like the stubbornness, the player, and so on. But the justifications for why someone cannot do something or will not do something, the list is endless that I've heard from people manifesting specific people. These are all scripts that you are giving them to play out. They are actors in your reality, if you want to use the producer analogy. They are actors merely going off of a script that you're feeding them. If you keep writing their character as a stubborn person that won't get back with the main character, how can you expect them to be unstubborn and get back with the main character? It doesn't work like that. So the first mistake that people make, and it is probably the biggest mistake I would say, is allowing your awareness, your state of consciousness, to reside within a place where your person is doing something that you don't want them to do, or you are continuing to reside within a place where your person is doing something that you don't want them to do. As the script writer of your reality, you need to become abundantly aware of what it is that you want them to do. So if they're currently stubborn and you want them to be more emotionally open, that's what you want them to do. So you're going to go, okay, I want them to be more emotionally open with me. Therefore, what would it mean if that was true? How would I think then? How would I feel then? What would it mean to me? What would it be like if they were like this? And anytime that you find your awareness going to the space of they aren't like that, you're going to catch it and you're going to remind yourself of the new thoughts. You're going to think of them as emotionally open. You're going to feel what it would be like if they had just opened up to you. You're going to step into your state of being that aligns with their new version. Through the use of your imagination, regardless of what is on this external, regardless of all the quote unquote evidence that they don't show up for you in that way. You are going to use your imagination to redirect yourself back to a space of, this is the new them. This is my experience of them. And it's going to be that end result. If you can stop providing them the power to say no to you through whatever means it is that you are giving them, and on top of that, if you can stop looking at them as the person giving you the relationship and start changing that perspective to, they're lucky enough that you're giving them the relationship, you're going to flip that script within your mind, and they are no longer going to show up for you in the ways that you don't want them to. And of course, if you're residing in the full-blown end result, they're going to show up for you providing that full-blown end result. The second mistake that people make is going right back to their old selves once they've done any kind of manifestation techniques. Now, this is similar to the last point, but it's more about you than them. But one thing that happens a lot, and I've definitely done this quite a lot as well, so I know what it's like. But you do 10 minutes of affirmations, or you do like a really kick-ass meditation with some visualization in it, or you finally managed to do sats right last night, or something like that, and you feel great. But then as soon as you open your eyes, or as soon as you kind of come back to this reality, you go right back to, oh, still no text. Oh, I wonder when it's going to happen. Oh, I'm kind of in that low mood, and go back to the old you. Remember, techniques are used as a way to get you from the state that you were in, the one that implies that you don't have your desire, and placing yourself in the state that you desire to be in, the one that says that you do have your desire. Now, if you actually did have that which you desire to have, the relationship, you would stay in the state of having that relationship, at least in terms of your mood and your state of awareness. You may not constantly be like, oh, I'm in a relationship, this is amazing. But if you checked your phone, you probably wouldn't go, oh, it's not working, they're not texting me. Or you probably wouldn't have a low mood that follows you throughout the day because you're still not in a relationship with them, and such things like that. But that's exactly what we do after we've done our techniques. We'll do 5 to 10 minutes of some affirmations, we'll feel kind of good in the moment, and then we'll go right back to, oh yeah, but I'm single. Oh, but they still haven't shown up for me. Oh, but there's still no text. Oh, but does this even work? Oh, Matthew's posted a new video. I'm going to go watch it and see if there's anything new that I'm currently not using to manifest my desire. Which, of course, I appreciate you all being here. Definitely don't take that last point as a bad thing. But these kinds of thoughts, these kinds of moods, these kinds of states of being are just placing you back into the old self. They may not necessarily be techniques, but they are still the way that you are thinking and feeling, which of course is still being passed on to your subconscious mind. So you could think of them as techniques putting you back into the old state. So when you have done any kind of manifestation work, or even just as you're going through your day, don't necessarily have to do this after doing techniques, but try to hold that new mood, try to hold that new attitude. You've just claimed that you're in a loving relationship. You've just convinced your mind in that moment that you're in a loving relationship. How does that feel? Go forward in that feeling. Go forward knowing the calmness, the peace, the excitement, the internal love of having that relationship, and try your best to hold that mood. You don't necessarily have to hold it under the basis of I'm in a relationship and have it on your mind 24/7. But by at least trying to hold on to that state of being, that heightened and elevated state of being as you go through your day, a number of different benefits will happen. First off, you'll just feel better. Second off, you'll be staying more aligned to your desired self. Now remember, we get more of what we are, not what we want. So the more that you're staying aligned to your desired self, just in general states of feelings and attitudes, you're going to get more of it, which could reflect in your specific person. And of course, there's tons of different benefits of doing this, but ultimately, the biggest benefit is you're not being re-destructive with your work. I am solidly convinced that 90% of the people that watch my content or any other coach's content do more than good enough creative work, the living in the end, the techniques and such. But unfortunately, they do just as much, if not more, destructive work. The doubts, the fears, the state of minds that align with not having your desire, and so on. By doing this kind of thing, by remembering that you have just claimed yourself to be something new, you have just stepped into a new state of being, therefore you're going to hold that attitude and that mood going forward, By doing this, I strongly believe that you will stop yourself being as destructive, which will finally allow your creative work that you've been doing to actually take precedence. The only reason why you may be doing so much great work but not getting results is because I feel like as soon as you stop, or at least this is the case with a lot of people that I've spoken to, as soon as you've stopped, you've gone right back to using your senses to justify how you think, instead of using your thoughts to justify what you will experience through your senses. You go, I've just done 10 minutes of affirmations, great, oh, but there's still no text, and all those other different examples that I gave earlier. So the second mistake that people make is as soon as they've done the great work putting themselves in the desired state, they stop and go right back to using their senses as justification for how they think. Go right back to using their imagination to think of the worst case scenario. They go right back to feeling the down mood or the anxiety, the fear, the stress of not having their desire, instead of trying to keep that elevated feeling. Even external to manifesting a specific person, wouldn't it just be better to try to live life feeling good, and then if something bad does happen, handling it when it does, as opposed to feeling terrible all the time, then bad stuff happens and you feel even worse, and then you go, of course this would happen to me, and you just victim spiral. So once you've done your manifestation work, try to then go forward in the new state and stay aligned to that new state. The third mistake that many people make, and this one may be up for debate, so by all means in the comments put what you think, but they're putting too many conditions on their manifestation. Now, I'm definitely not against the idea of having a way that you want things to come about, but I am 100% for the idea of residing within the desire and having the way that it comes about. So many people, they think that it has to be through a text, or it has to be this way, or it has to be that way, and they put this limitation to say that it must be this way and that's the only way that I will accept it. Now, this is doing a couple of things. First off, you're congesting yourself. Your subconscious mind is the creative power of your reality. Your subconscious mind has infinitely more power than you do logically, which means the way that you are seeing it to come into play is more than likely not the best way that it could come into play. More than likely not the fastest way that it can come into play. More than likely not the most reality efficient way that it could come into play. So first off, you are potentially delaying your manifestation from coming in. Not necessarily in a sense of you are delaying it as in pushing it back, but what I mean is that if you stayed open to how it would come about, you could potentially be getting it way faster than your logical mind is trying to conjure up. So that's the first reason why I recommend staying open, because it typically can come faster. And I can assure you, when you stay open to it, it always comes in a way that's more mind-blowing than you can imagine. So that's the first reason. The second reason, if you are willing to put a condition on your manifestation, chances are you're someone that wants to micromanage the process. Now, micromanaging when it comes to manifestation is probably one of the worst things that you can do. Of course, be deeply clear on what you want, on that outcome, create the perfect scene, the perfect statement, get the preparations for the end result in play. But the journey is not yours to concern yourself with. All you need to do is, through the use of your imagination, remind your mind of what it means to have this desire. Remind your mind that you already have this desire, and let the rest be pieced together. When trying to make it happen a certain way, this typically comes with a micromanaging attitude. And this micromanaging attitude typically comes from a lack of faith in your desire. And a lack of faith means that you don't believe that it exists somewhere. Therefore, you have to try to control it into being. But it also comes from a place of lack. Typically speaking, you're not trusting that it's going to work out in your favor. You're not trusting that the subconscious mind, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, will bring you this desire based on the work that you're doing. Now, what does that say to you? That says, because you're not trusting, you're implying that you don't have it currently. Because you're implying that you don't have it currently, you're stating to your subconscious mind that what you are doing isn't working, and as a result, don't bring me my desire. Because by sitting in that state of micromanaging and lack of trust, you're saying that it's not here currently. You're not relishing in the end result through the use of your imagination. You are looking at a 3D reality. Cat, stop knocking my camera. You're looking at the 3D reality and saying, this means I don't have it. These things that my senses are picking up are saying I don't have it, so I have to micromanage the process. It has to come through this text. It has to be this way. It has to be that way. Why has it not come yet? Oh, I still don't have that text. And any variation of the thoughts that you have based on the condition that you put on your manifestation. The second you start micromanaging, the second you start distrusting in the work, the second you start, what's the words that I'm looking for? The second you start trying to essentially say that you logically know more and are better for your manifestation journey than the subconscious mind, the creative power, the entire universe, your inner God, you are coming from the wrong place. You are tripping yourself up, and you are potentially leaving manifestation power and the quickness and effectiveness of your manifestation on the table. You logically, no matter who you are, you could be Einstein, you could be Lady Gaga, you could be, I don't know, what's another famous person that's different to those two fields? You could be Barack Obama, you could be any one of these individuals, and I can assure you that your mind is still not as powerful as your subconscious mind. Or, sorry, your conscious mind. The logic that you're trying to put behind the situation is nowhere near as powerful as the subconscious mind. So get out of its way. Put the end result in place. Put what it is that you desire, and then let your subconscious mind do the rest. If you go to a restaurant, you put in your order and then trust that it's coming. You don't put in the order, then put on an apron and start being the sous chef. When you go to a bar, you give your order, the guy makes the drinks. You don't give the order and then go on the other side of the bar and start making your own drinks. When you go to Google, you Google something and then you let Google bring it up. You don't Google something and then go out and do the research yourself to give yourself the responses. That's a stupid example. But once you give your message to the subconscious mind of this is what I want, leave the rest up to it. Stop putting conditions on it. I would definitely recommend letting the how, no matter what the how is, happen in the way that it does, as opposed to trying to make it happen in your way, because it will definitely happen in a much faster and much more enjoyable way as well. I can assure you the way that your subconscious mind would bring you your desire is far more interesting than a text, or it'll be far more crazy in terms of the way that things happen than a text. Just for the sake of enjoyment, leave it up to the subconscious mind.